In this video I'm going to show you how to draw a servo motor using Fusion 360. The servo that I will be drawing is a high-tech HS311 standard servo motor. This tutorial is part 1 of 3 parts, so once you finish part 1 you can click on the link at the end of this video to watch part 2 and then on to part 3. Alright, so let's get started. Go to Create and click New Component on the pull down menu. You should name the component if you are creating a large number of components, but I will only create 2, the servo body and the servo horn, so I'll just click OK and continue. So create a new sketch by pressing this icon. Select the XY plane, which I suppose is like selecting the floor or bed for a workpiece that you are going to create. Now click on Rectangle in Create and select Center Point Rectangle in the sketch palette. Make a rectangle by first clicking the left mouse button on the center point or origin, releasing the left button while moving outwards to an arbitrary position while leaving your finger off the mouse button. Use the keyboard to set the width to 19mm and then press Tab to transfer to the width dimension and enter 52.8mm for the length. So I'll just use the scroll wheel on the mouse to zoom in. Click on Line in Create and create a left horizontal construction line from the center. Make sure you select the construction icon from the line type in the sketch palette, although this can be changed later if you forget to do so, which I often do. Then from the center you left click once, drag the line in the leftward direction while leaving your finger off the mouse button. Without clicking the mouse, enter the measurement 23.9 from the keyboard and then hit return. And there we have our first construction line. If you are new to Fusion 360, the one thing that you will need to understand and practice is being deliberate about dimensions and positions. And you'll also need to understand the importance of constraints, which are essential for using Fusion 360 and also incredibly useful. So at the moment the center of the rectangle is constrained or locked onto the origin, position 00 on the XY plane. The constraint at the origin is automatic, so this constrained origin becomes an obvious reference point. Now what I have done is that I have established a constrained construction line that extends leftward 23.9mm from the origin. Inputting 23.9 via the keyboard provided a deliberate dimension by which this construction line has locked onto or has constrained. Now if I had just left clicked at the origin, dragged the line until the dimension read 23.9 and then left clicked at that position, it is unlikely that that line would be locked onto that dimension. Your sketch would not be constrained, in other words. If your sketch is not fully constrained, then you are going to have serious problems at the 3D stage. Okay, so carrying on, select the line icon and start from the left end of the horizontal construction line. Left click the mouse, extend upward with your fingers off the mouse button and type 5.1. So now we're going to make our first hole in the left mounting tab of the servo body. So select Circle from Create, bring back the cursor to the end of the vertical construction line we've just added. Left click the mouse, extend away from the center of the circle, but don't click on the mouse. Use the keyboard to type in 4.3, which sets the diameter to 4.3mm. I'll just open up the sketches folder on the left here. As you can see, there is a padlock icon attached to sketch 1, which means the sketch is currently fully constrained. The circle that we've just added has been drawn as a construction line by mistake. So all we need to do though is just to select the circle and then press the construction line icon to change the circle to a solid line. Next we want a vertical construction line from the center of the rectangle. Reselect the construction line icon on the sketch palette again and then select Line from Create. Go to the center point, then click on the center, drag a line until you reach the top line of the rectangle and click the top line to snap the construction line in place. As you can see, this sketch is still fully constrained. If you find that a pencil icon is still showing, that means the sketch is not fully constrained. You'd be best to click on redo until the lock icon shows up again, and then find out where the problem is, where you went wrong. Okay, so I'll just zoom in a bit more. It's probably a good idea to put in a few more construction lines. Select line from create and draw a line here by left clicking the mouse, dragging the line until we reach the left side of the rectangle, at which we can left click the mouse, snapping the construction line into place. From there we can left click the mouse again and extend a vertical construction line. Leave your finger off the mouse and enter 5.1, as in 5.1 millimeters, on the keyboard and hit return. From the end of this new construction line we can create another vertical line in the same manner, this time 1.3 millimeters in length. Now from this new position on the left side of the rectangle we will draw a solid line to the circle. So select line from create, deselect the construction line icon on the sketch palette and left click the mouse here, drag and left click again when you reach the circle. Just check that your line is constrained properly. We actually need a construction line extending from the center of the circle to the left side of the rectangle. In hindsight, I should have probably drawn in such a construction line a few construction lines earlier to save time. I'll left click the mouse on the center of the circle, drag the line until it reaches the left side of the rectangle, and left click on that line too, giving us a fully constrained line. I'll just reselect that line and select the construction icon on the sketch palette. Select mirror from create and select this little line that we have drawn. Mirror palette has popped up at the right side of the page here, where it indicates that one object has been selected. Next we need to select the mirror line, so you first need to activate select, that is next to mirror line indicated in the mirror palette, and then select the latest construction line that we have just drawn in. Press OK on the mirror palette, and then we have a new little line on the opposite side of the construction line, fully constrained and with the correct dimensions. I'll just adjust and move over to the right side now. I'm using the mouse wheel to do this. Great. Now select the circle, just zoom in a bit, hold down the shift key and select the two little line segments as well. As a general rule, you need to hold down the shift key if you want to select multiple objects, that is the circle and the two lines here. Then select mirror and create. Once again the mirror palette pops up, and as we can see 5 objects have been selected this time. I think that is because there are 2 line segments, and then the circle has been divided up into 3 segments by Fusion's 360 due to the presence of the construction lines. I think that's why. Now we activate select next to mirror line in the mirror palette and select the vertical construction line that extends from the center of the rectangle. I'll just zoom out so that we can see the entire rectangle now. Press OK on the mirror palette, and now we have a duplicate hole on the right side. I think now would be a good time to remove some unwanted lines. Select trim from modify and select the segments that you want to remove, like this. As you can see, a warning will show at the bottom right telling us that some constraints and or dimensions have been removed during this operation, which is perfectly normal and nothing to be concerned about. I'll just do the same at the left side, which I probably should have done earlier. Anyway, better late than never. Select mirror from create and select all the line segments of the 2 holes while holding down the shift key, because we've got multiple objects this time, so you need the shift key. Then after activating mirror line on the mirror palette, select this construction line and then press OK. Now we have all 4 holes which are located in the right positions in the mount tabs of the servo body. Now it's time to draw the main servo body. Select rectangle from create and make sure you select center point rectangle in the sketch palette. Make a rectangle by first left clicking the mouse on the center point, releasing the mouse button while moving outwards to an arbitrary position. Use the keyboard to set the width to 20 millimeters and then press tab to transfer to the length dimension and enter 39.7 millimeters for the length. I'll just move the dimensions here so that we can see it better. Okay, now we just need to make sure show profile is checked in the sketch palette, and then we can click on finish sketch. Now we can select the areas we want to extrude while holding down the shift key, which correspond to the mount tabs of the servo, and then select extrude from create. As you can see, the extrude palette shows up on the right of the page, and I like to input the extrusion distance in the extrude palette itself. So we'll input 2.4 millimeters and click OK. And there we have two mount tabs. Well, once you do the extrusion, the sketch disappears, but you can just reselect the sketch file on the left side here and it shows up again. We can also extrude the lower body of the servo. So select extrude and create. This caused the sketch to disappear again, so let's reselect the sketch file again. Now select each segment of the middle area while holding down the shift key and enter negative 26.5 in the extrude palette on the right and press OK. So it's a negative number because we're going downwards from the sketch plane. So the sketch plane is your reference. Just resize it using the scroll wheel on the mouse, and now it's beginning to take shape. Let's move it to the center of the page. Select extrude from create so that the extrude palette appears. Select three segments on the middle surface and input the value 33.3 minus 26.5 and press OK. Actually, we might want to edit the sketch around the corners of the main body, so we'll go to the sketch file and this time right click on it and select edit sketch. You don't need to, but I often like to switch off show profile on the sketch palette as well. Adjust the size, select fillet from modify and select the short left side of the 20 millimeter wide rectangle and then the top side, and we get a 5 millimeter radius curve there. So we will edit that to 1.5 millimeters, so a 1.5 millimeter radius. Now in this video I absent-mindedly hit return for each corner, but it's better to actually enter 1.5 millimeters just once and then select each side of the rectangle until all corners have been rounded and then hit return. That way if you need to adjust the radius of the corners, you only need to adjust one corner and all the other corners will automatically change. Okay, so now we press finish sketch and select the little home icon by the block at the top right of the page, and there we can see a nice rounded surface along each vertical corner of the servo body. Now we need to create a new sketch to lie on the current top surface because we will need to extrude from that surface, from that plane. So we click on the top surface and select new sketch from create, and we're back in sketch mode again. As you can see on the left, we currently have two sketches, sketch 1 and sketch 3 for this component, and are both fully constrained. I did have sketch 2, but I made a few mistakes on it, so I ended up removing it. It's best to hide the body here by deselecting the eye icon so that we can see our sketch. Next we will select rectangle from create. Choose the center point rectangle on the sketch palette. Go to the origin. Left click the mouse and extend the rectangle outwards, leaving your finger off the mouse of course. Enter 38.7 for the length using the keyboard. Hit tab to transfer to the short side. Enter 19 and then hit return. Now select Fillet from Modify, select the left top sides of the rectangle and enter 1 to create a 1mm radius, and do the same to the other 3 remaining corners. Before we finish the sketch, we need to check Show Profile on the sketch palette and then press Finish Sketch. Go up to the little block at the top right and select the home icon that will show up. OK, the extruded body is hidden here, so we'll just need to hit the eye icon by Bodies on the left side here. Select the top surface here, which activates your latest sketch, Sketch 3. Select Extrude from Create, input a distance of 0.5 on the extrude palette, and then hit OK. Use the scroll wheel on the mouse to zoom out a bit and edit the sketch again by right-clicking on Sketch 3. We'll just hide the servo body for now by pressing the eye icon. We'll want to show Sketch 1 as well, and uncheck Show Profile on the sketch palette. Just zoom in a bit. We'll need to make a construction line by selecting Line in Create, turning the construction icon on in the sketch palette, and left click the mouse at the origin. Extend straight leftward with your finger off the mouse button, and we enter the value 9.9 and hit return. Now select Circle from Create, go to the end of the construction line we have just made, left click the mouse and extend with your finger off the mouse button, enter the value 18.7 and then hit return. I left it on construction, so just deselect construction on the sketch palette to change the circle to a solid line. Now select Line from Create, turn on construction on the sketch palette and start from the right side of the inner rectangle, which by the way is on the current Sketch 3, whereas the outer rectangle is on Sketch 1. Select a point on that side by left clicking the mouse. From there, extend a construction line, now with your finger off the mouse button, enter 4.5 and hit return. To continue, please click the link here to watch part 2 of this tutorial.